do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot, I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Welcome back to B1AG. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics for the Black family and the Black community. Welcome. Things are getting strange, y'all. We recently had 2 FDA officials that are stepping down from their posts from the FDA. And it seems like they're stepping down from their post over their lack of autonomy or say-so in the rollout of President Biden's booster program. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because the FDA, they do play a very important role in our lives, and they're supposed to be a trusted wing in the government. Now I'm going to read to you the FDA's mission. The Food and Drug Administration is responsible for protecting the public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, and medical devices, and by ensuring the safety of our nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. That is, in short, the FDA's mission or their jobs. So, Farmer Brown, we're going to talk about today is with the FDA, who's really in charge. So what do you have to say about this, bro?
First, bro, I'd just like to publicly say happy birthday, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
It's a strange day to have a birthday, but you know, we still here, man, still kicking it. And so I also like to say peace to the B1 family. And so today here at B1AG, we typically like to stick to the specifics. We like to stick to statistics. We don't like to deal in conjecture, but considering the nature of this conversation, right now, conjecture and question, in the words of Neely Fuller, is all we really have to question. Like Bruh said, so the FDA is a big part of the consumer products that we ingest in our bodies, put on our skin. You know, the FDA serves as a federal filter to decide whether or not this is something that should be consumed by humans. And so the resignation, this came across my attention last night. And so I'm not going to sit here and say I just know all of the inner workings and details and moving parts. But I think to really contextualize this conversation and understand where we're at right now, I do think it is worth a few questions. And so as it was brought to my attention, these were high-ranking officials who had major roles historically in Oxycontin and other drugs that were approved through the FDA, and we've witnessed their results as we're coming out of Afghanistan that produces 80% of the opium in the world. But that's another topic. Here at B1AG, we do talk about agriculture. That is our focus, food production. But when we think about the FDA, that is a sibling of the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, which pretty much on a large scale, simple, stupid, serves the same purpose. This is the conduit between the people, the producers, the consumers, and the federal government. And so in recent months now, actually almost a year now, there has been a lot of contention about how we view the juice, how we view the prioritization of the juice versus, healthy foods, other possible medical remedies for what we're going through right now. And so there is a question, people are getting a lot of mixed messages. 1 week, hey, wear the mask. They're going to stop this. Next week, we get emails released from the guy telling us this, that, they're really not going to stop anything. Then we get, okay, you'll be able to go back to normal in a couple of months. Once you sip on the juice, everything will be fine. And then a few months later, once you got this juice, you can kind of disperse the juice. It's a term called sloughing or shedding that I would encourage the B1 family to look up. What does this mean to two high-ranking officials in the midst of a pandemic? And I'm pretty sure they're getting a bag. And so part of me does like to think that there's some people, some humans or mankind that does value just the safety of people over their money. And so once again, I wasn't in any of these people's offices to know what was driving this decision. However, to quit at this time, the big grievance was, hey, we really don't have a voice. And just quoting from an MSNBC article pertaining to this, in this case, the FDA lacks the necessary leadership in the office of the commissioner, and the public will pay a price for it. Those words kind of struck me, and it made me think about now, okay, the public's going to pay a price for these people leaving. What are the implications of this? Well, also in recent weeks, there's been a lot of people that are questioning the role of the CDC, because this is another piece of information that, okay, the White House, instead of listening to the counsel of the FDA, instead, went to the CDC. We also know that the CDC works in concert, whether you agree or disagree, with the WHO. I'm throwing these alphabet letters around, but, as a melanated family, wanting to be codified, wanting to be conscientious about the world that we're in, the WHO is the World Health Organization. And so when we think about this, the concept of globalization, this is a UN, this is a wing of the UN that is in charge of health. This is how we're going to make the world healthy by, following these protocols, implementing these programs, implementing these strategies. Over the last few years, whether you're in the conspiracy theory circles or not, there's a big focus on, okay, here in the West, what we call North America, Turtle Island, however we claim it, are we losing our civil liberties, our rights? There are some rights that are just, upon being created by the Most High, we just have them as living beings. But when we find ourselves in a position where we're so dependent on a grid that provides our food, a grid that provides our access to electronics, a grid that provides access to roads and ships, it's a very integrated society, and we're no longer in a space consciously where we can just act like, okay, we're over here in North America and everything else is other people's business. With this pandemic, however you word it, has brought to the attention of many people is that this is a very integrated society. And so saying that to say, when you have the World Health Organization, who ultimately the CDC, which is, for America, is dictating what's going on, we do have to ask the question, how does this feed into, say, the USDA, how our food is produced here? Not to sound like a Trumpite, because it's all the same bird to me. But, his big thing was, hey, we need to, bring the jobs here. We need to focus on what's going on over here. I think the wisdom of that, if we're looking at it from a melanated people standpoint, yeah, we need to, focus what's going on in our community or our part of the diaspora. And so when you have a world organization dictating this does lend to some serious questions we need to ask, or what are the broader implications? Are the melanated people in what we call North America a high priority when it comes to world health, when we do know that there's nations like in Asia, Europe, Africa, South America that are dealing with extreme poverty, extreme food insecurity, lack of access to resources? We really have to ask these questions, but I think you have a video I wanted you to play real quick.
Two senior leaders in the FDA's Vaccine Review Office are stepping down. Yahoo Finance senior healthcare reporter Anjali Kamlani is here with more on this and the latest on the COVID front. Anjali.
That's right, Brian. Well, we found out this morning, or rather, we found out that we have yesterday that two of the top vaccine leaders, vaccine review leaders at the FDA are stepping down, and senior officials have told multiple reporters that it is largely in part to what is being perceived as the White House getting ahead of and putting pressure on the entity to approve not just the vaccine boosters, but also other parts of the vaccine approval process, and also shifting the focus away from the FDA, which is largely in charge of this, to the CDC and the CDC's advisory panel. So a lot of tension there. And this is actually causing some health experts to make comparisons to the Trump administration and the oversight that came and the sort of heavy-handed top-down strategy that came from the White House last year. So really a tough time over there at the FDA. These two individuals, that's Dr. Marianne Gruber and Philip Krause, are going to stay on through the end of the booster process, but then after that are stepping down. Meanwhile, we know with Pfizer, we got some reports from an Israel study that said the booster shots have shown some pretty strong efficacy data. Of course, not anything different than what expected, about 70% there. And so that's really good when it comes to the whole discussion of what does that mean for the general population, as we know that the US is studying that, looking at that, and hoping to, within the coming weeks, approve boosters for Americans by September 20th. Back to you.
And then Anjali, also on the Pfizer and Moderna front, a study out of Belgium kind of looking at the response, the antibody response produced by those two main vaccines. What did we learn there?
That's right. So interestingly, Moderna showed 2 times the antibody levels. Now, it's an interesting metric, of course, because you want antibodies to build up at pretty strong levels. But some experts are looking at this in context of the booster shot and what that means, because we've seen conversations about what waning immunity means. There's half of the, maybe not half, but there are certain health experts that look at antibody levels as an indicator of waning immunity, while there's another thought within the health community that antibody levels aren't specifically what should be looked at, but rather the memory that is instilled in the body, which is the B and T cells, and how they remember to fight off the disease. So these two trains of thought, of course, are pretty interesting, and we'll see which one sort of wins out, but that sort of plays into what we know and what health experts are looking at when it comes to the need for boosters.
Anjali Kamlani, thanks so much.
Why aren't you the
And so here at B1AG, we give no medical advice. We are not doctors. We're into producing food. We're into figuring out what are some solutions for the B1 family. I think it's interesting that she brought up Israel. So Israel at this point is one of the most inoculated nations. I think upwards of more than 90% of their population has gotten a gene therapy, but they also have the highest case of the variant, the Greek letter variant. And so I think, what's understood doesn't need to be explained, but there are schools of thought that, hey, the more juice that's, willfully taken, the more juice that spreads amongst other people. And so that's a whole nother discussion. But saying that to say, she gave a date, September 20th. One of the reasons why these FDA officials resigned, because they felt like they were being bogarted by the White House to make decisions. We saw a few weeks ago, there were a lot of people like, I ain't taking nothing until it ain't even FDA approved yet. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. And so it's like, the White House said, all right, boom, the FDA approved it. On the back end, from indicative of these resignations, there was some force behind it. And evidently these two people that resigned didn't have the input that they felt was necessary for this decision to happen. And then they were expressing their contention with this rollout of boosters. The other day we were talking with Dr. Boyce, just talking about the economics around this. And so what a booster represents, take the health implications out of it. What a booster represents is, oh, you need more. Okay, this is starting to wane, so you're going to need another one. Oh, 2 years later, you're going to need another one. And so if you're the company that's providing these new Smurf berries every year, you're standing to make a large profit. when you have stakeholders, when you have investors, you stand to make a large profit. We are a nation right now that's going through an economic crisis. And so if you're one of the 1%, the 10% who's actually made some money during this crisis, once again, what is the incentive outside of, hoping for people to just have empathy for humanity? What's the incentive to stop? So saying that to say, as a parent, I'm very concerned. Like, okay, if any sort of mitigation like this is pushed through, and it's going over the heads of, say, agency like the FDA for your children. Okay, I want you to go to the schools, but before you go to school, you got to get this extra. You got to get these Smurf berries. And then there's some people say, oh, well, we've taken Smurf berries, all this time, and nobody ever asked questions. But then you think about people talk about autism. You talk about all of these health issues that we see continuously getting worse in North America. Now, you don't have to be a doctor to assume, like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something we're doing, whether it's in our diets, whether it's the way our food is being produced, whether it's the way our food is being stored, whether it's where we're shipping our food in from, whether it's how many times a day we eat. All of these things factor into our health outcomes. Here at B1AG, our main focus is we need to get back to the garden, and we need to support the melanated farmers who are already putting this work in. That is our ultimate goal. We're not political. We're not here to try to tell anybody what to do, more so than just pointing out the opportunities. In a case where you see that clearly on the federal end, there is an objective, there is an agenda. I want y'all to do this, and if y'all want my help, as I'm paying farmers not to grow anything, as I'm making it hard on, they have people on the news now saying we need to make it hard for people that don't want the juice. And so what we know is this is an effort. This is an intent. It's not an idea. It's not a maybe. It's not a theory. It is an intent to create this divide in the country between people who agree with Smurf berries and people who don't. And so, as an advocate of somebody that eats, because both sides have to eat, we really have to revisit our dependency on these systems that we see in flux. Like I said, for the sake of having healthy food, you would hope that the FDA, the professionals there, the doctors there who have spent decades of their lives learning about food security, what do they say, biology, learning about chemicals, radiation, you would hope that they have a voice. You would hope that their voice is going to influence the guy who finally writes the check, the guy or the lady, if the guy is not there or loses his capacity, who's going to be making these decisions. And so when that process that many people believe in is disrupted, we're left with a situation on our hands. Now, what are y'all going to do? What if what we're talking about is absolutely true, that the FDA, CDC, none of that matters? This is literally a global effort. There's a global entity somewhere that didn't grow up the street from Miss Jones. The people who are putting these things, implementing these things in motion, they don't look like you. They don't come from your culture. They could care less about American culture. They see the world as a big trap house, right? And so what are we able to do within our communities, within our households, within our networks, just in case this goes horribly wrong? Because we've watched just over the last few weeks how things can shift so quickly. I mean, just a few weeks ago, people could just easily go to a restaurant, no problem, order, delivery. And literally after the Mayor de Blasio had brought it up about, so you can't go in this store if you don't have this piece of paper, this is now a thing. And then, once the FDA was coerced, as some would say, into approving certain gene therapies, okay, now, the president came out and said, now I hope the private sector takes note. And I want you to mandate this within your operations. And so now you're looking at the possibility, who knows the future, of a large fall away from the workforce. And then some people say, all right, well, I'll just quit this job and go to another. So what happens when you find yourself in a situation where your alternative of where you work says, well, you're not even going to get this job until you eat some Smurf berries? As a melanated family, up to this point, I haven't heard anybody say it is against the law to grow anything. I haven't heard anybody say it is against the law or you're mandated not to learn how to garden, not to learn how to plant seeds, not to learn how to network with people that are producers, not to create distribution networks. There's some very serious conversations we need to have. I hate to sound like a broken record when we have these conversations, but it's like literally every day there's some new bit of news, some new bit of truth that is brought to our attention that is up at the end of the day. It's up to now, what are you going to do about this?
There's definitely some strange times we're in. And this government that we, so are supposed to trust and have been trusting, and we'd hope that they would have, an unbiased, view and really have the public safeties, the public's safety in their foresight, that in the forefront. Hopefully that still remains true. Because again, I'm gonna read to you the FDA's mission, the Food and Drug Administration's mission, again, in short, is responsible for protecting the public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, and medical devices, and by ensuring the safety of our nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. It's very concerning when, that's their job, but it seems that their duties are being taken out of their hands and into other and given to other organizations that may not necessarily have North America's safety at the forefront.
So once again, when we talk about the WHO, the World Health Organization, so that is a part of the UN. I encourage the family to look up the UN 2030 agenda, the UN 2030 agenda. If we want to kind of get a simple, stupid concept of where all of this is going, if it is true that the FDA has no power and all power of the United States government has been relegated to international brokers, then the goal within the 2030 agenda, and I'm going to just go through this quick. Goal 1 is no poverty goal, no poverty. That could be achieved by making it rain on everybody, or that could be achieved by getting rid of a lot of people. Zero hunger goal. Once again, that could be achieved by making sure a lot of people not only have access to healthy food, but investing in educational programming to teach people how to grow or reduce the amount of people that need to be fed. Goal 3, good health and well-being. Goal 4, quality education. Goal 5, gender equality. Goal 6, clean water and sanitation, Flint. Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. We like our gasoline. We like to go gas our vehicles up. A lot of people in the U.S. is like, cool, I want to get in my four-wheeler. I want to get in my Hummer. Yeah. If there's an international power broker that's saying, no, I don't want you to have that, what's your get back? 7, affordable clean energy. 8, decent work and economic growth. And so we see what the stipulations behind employment are now. There's this notion that, people don't want to go back to work because they're spoiled by people are just lazy. No, for one, a lot of these jobs aren't paying a livable wage. Prices are going up everywhere. So, okay, I just came up on a job, $20, $30 an hour. But what it is, where I'm living at is going to be $1,500, $2,000 a month. Food prices is going up. And so I think people are starting to really, do the personal math of now, is this worth me going to this job? Not only that, they want me to take Smurfberries if you're not into Smurfberries. Goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Do we have a lot of melanated constructors out there, construction companies out there? I know some personally, but I do question, do they have the capital to compete with the larger entities who will be vying for positions to build this new infrastructure? Goal 10, reduced inequality. These are very vague. One, it said gender equality, and then this one said reduced inequality. I mean, is this equality between tall people, short people, dark people, light people? Very vague. 11, sustainable cities and communities. What this means are computer grids. This means I encourage the B1 family to look up China's social credit system. Sustainable means I'm exhausting the least amount of energy and getting the best result. Goal 12, responsible consumption and production. Now, when somebody says responsible, what comes to my mind as a parent, parental, matriarchal, patriarchal order, responsible. So responsible under who's measuring this concept of responsibility? Because what's going on in North America is going to be very different than Africa, very different than South America, very different in Asia. So, what is this measuring point, this balance point of responsibility when it comes to consumption and production? Goal 13, climate action goal. And so once again, we were talking about the farmers in North America who are being incentivized to not grow anything, even though we know we're going into a food insecure space right now with all of the shutdowns, with all of the chinks within the distribution system. But farmers are being, hey, I'll give you more money not to grow anything. And so, and a part of this is, we want a cleaner planet, less gas emissions from your tractors, less cows out here farting, less fertilizer in the soil. And see, all of these, depending on where you stand, can be justified. And so this is why it's complicated. And then 14, life below water and life on land, meaning, what's going on in the water, what's going on land. And so this is the UN 2030 agenda. Like I said, if I was a proponent of the UN 2030 agenda, it makes all of the sense in the world. There's nothing that you could tell me how this isn't a formidable, righteous, humanitarian goal for the United Nations, for a united global front. There's nothing you could say. If I was on the flip side of this, if I was against this, I'll be like, now who's the one making these decisions here? Who's the one saying, how do we go about making no poverty? If you're somebody that's into the good book, it said the poor will always be amongst us. And so how do you eradicate the poor? And many times I think about the Georgia Guidestones. One of the Georgia Guidestones was saying we need the Earth population down to 500 million. And see, I don't like to get into to conspiracy theory, but realize there are rich people on this planet that I've enjoyed everything my physical body can enjoy, but just ruling the world. I mean, I keep saying Smurfs because I've been on a Smurf binge with my kids the last few weeks. There's a lot we can learn from some of these old cartoons. There's always a faction that I just want control. I've been so spoiled and I have everything else. All I can do now is self-destruct. And a part of this self-destruction is bringing as many of y'all fools down with me. And, I'm so arrogant, I'll tell you what I'm doing. When we think about one of the largest farmland owners in North America, he came out years ago saying, and his father was a eugenicist. I believe in the world will be a better place if there's less people. Let me start with these juice campaigns where we know that the birth rate of these people is out the roof in the motherland and Al-Kibalon in Africa. Oh, this worked here. Let's bring it to the West. And so saying that to say, a lot of us in our minds, it's hard to think that, there's nefarious factions in this world, because the majority of people I know, I haven't met everybody. I have a formidable network of acquaintances, friends or whatever. And most people I know and I'm around would never think to hidden in plain sight. Absolutely. Most people would never think to just, destroy people for nothing. Most people I rock with, like the concept, I want the world to be better without you. Most people I know, okay, hey, if I don't like what you got going on, I'll just go to my own space. But most people I also know aren't billionaires that have access to, say, a FDA, that are able to pay people off. I have to jump in the rabbit hole briefly. We think about the Epstein concept. Some schools of thought say he set up honey traps for world leaders. And this was from all through the 2000s up to when he allegedly, and I say allegedly, committed suicide. What this represents is, hey, I got dirt on all of the people who's going to be making decisions. And it was very ironic when he got offed or Epsteined, his partner in crime, what is her name, Ghislaine Maxwell, she got locked up. And it was during this time when all of this stuff jumped off. Maybe they have nothing to do with one another. Like I said, today's show is just more conversation, and I'm babbling on. But okay, I realize these world leaders are making some very crucial decisions that are affecting billions of people. And you got to wonder, like, hey, if you look at, you go through these YouTube videos and look at the like versus dislike ratio, it's a lot of people that are in contention with a lot of decisions that leaders are making. But then, if you can keep from being distracted by all of the challenges and the ratchetness and all of these distractions going on, you can almost connect dots like, hey, some of these leaders are probably compromised. Some of them have probably done things behind closed doors, to attain a certain position to where somebody, some creepy person who's cutting the check, who's providing the funding for their institution, organization, company can say, now, hey, if you don't promote these Smurfberries, yeah, I ain't telling you what to do, but I do have this picture of you. So saying that to say, I'm just putting that out there for the family to really think about what it is we can do if this worst case scenario I'm speaking of does exist. Because this last year has been a conspiracy theorist Christmas, because it's like everything that we've thought is impossible, this is ridiculous, this would never happen, it's all happening in front of our eyes. Where when you think about what's going on with the conscious community right now, a lot of respected people within the conscious community are taking hits. Many of these are people like, I'm schooled by this person, I study this person, and wow, so now is the time. It's like, okay, we can't be focusing on characters, we can't be focusing on people, because we realize people are flawed. How do we focus on a code? Well, my code said fast X amount of days and, pray looking this way. Well, my code says, don't believe. Whatever code you have to eat. If you're melanated in this land, you eating is not the priority. The UN didn't say racial, ethnic equality or national equality. It did not say that. It just said reduced inequality. Didn't say I'm getting rid of inequality, just reduced inequality. It said gender equality. It didn't say anything about ethnicity. So if we're just going to be codified about it, okay, man, I don't like the color you represent, I don't like the block you represent, but I know that block where you live at, Southside Chicago, New York, wherever we're drilling right now, everybody has this common need to eat. All of these blocks have spaces, whether we're talking about the urban gardens that we keep talking about, the container gardens, the vertical gardens, barrel gardens, box gardens. If we're talking about the Deep South, hey, there still are some melanated people that own land. A lot of them are older, and they need some younger people to take interest. A lot of them aren't going to be able to go online and find the best workers. If there is going to have to be a conscientious effort from a critical mass of us that just take initiative. Let me find somebody. Let me seek out somebody that I can learn from, not take advantage of. The lead farmer the other day, he made a good point. He was like, there's multiple types of preppers. There's some preppers that let me get ready now so I don't have to wait till later. There's other people that's like, oh, I'll just worry about it when it happens. And then there's other people who just like, I'm going to wait till things go bad and just take what you've been preparing. These are dynamics within our community. But once again, I can't stress enough, family, we have a huge opportunity right now. While the world is in chaos, while we see things happening like at the FDA, the contention going on at the White House right now, the master's house is in disarray. And so he doesn't have much time to be going out in the plantation seeing what the slaves are up to. Outside of a couple of Stevens who going back, caping, we have a huge opportunity right now, family, to not only figure out a new way to, educate our offspring, to really get them focused on, okay, hey, if you can solve the food problem just within your community and you develop a good model, guess what? You can sell it to others. If you come up with a good product that you sell, you might not want to get into the marketing, but you just get good at growing this. This becomes something of value. And when we talk about these cooperative models, you meet the people that you need to get the most out of what you have to work with. We are the best fit group on this planet right now to address these issues because we have been so disenfranchised economically that we've had to become innovative working with limited resources. Did not the UN 2030 agenda say we need, we're trying to build sustainable communities? Melanated family, we've been living in sustainable communities since we've been here, right? And so how do we take these perceived acts of economic terrorism against us and use this to our advantage? What did Juvenile say before the recent remix? Making something out of nothing, you handle your biz. We have that opportunity to do this right now. Once again, this resignation at the FDA of two of the highest ranking officials who are governing Smurfberry distribution in this country to address Smurflitis, they stepped down. Hey, we ain't got no power. What we said should have happened didn't happen. Our boss said, no, we're going to rush this ahead anyway. This is going to affect all of our households, family, whether we want to think about it right now or not. It is. But I say that to say we're in a great opportunity to reassert ourselves in what this sustainability looks like. Are we going to go into the next 20, 30, 40 years depending on an unstable system to feed us? Or are we going to create the food systems of the future?
You know what I find interesting, Farmer Brown, is that the United States population is a little over 333 million people. And if you just take Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates' net worth, you know, you're talking about that's almost $230 billion. Like they just taking the two of the richest people in this country, you know, they almost have enough money to give every American $1 billion. But we're in such a crisis. But they really care about us. They're really concerned for our safety. When they literally have all the wealth and all, like between two people, they literally have all the wealth and all the resources to make it grow harder, to put vertical gardens in each city, to, you know, like how the plenty vertical hydroponic system where they can put 750 acres worth of grow space into 2 acres. You know, that's what we need. Like there's a drought out west. We've seen our brother Moses West, who with his atmospheric water generator, they have enough money to place these water generators throughout the West Coast to make sure that those people have water. But they care about our well-being.
Who won the NBA Finals this year?
That was the Milwaukee Bucks.
Who did they play?
The Phoenix Suns.
The Phoenix Suns had the ability, or the Bucks had the ability to say, no, we'll just fall back and let you score. We'll just fall back and let you get the championship. We have the means to do it. We have the 5 players on the court, and we could just sit back and let you score on us. But is that how you win a game? Is that how you win a championship, hoping that your opponent is going to just let you win it?
No.
The Bucks won because they exerted some form of power, energy, effort. I'm going to outdo you. I'm going to outthink you. I'm going to outmaneuver you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as a melanated family, if I'm Bezos, if I'm Gates, if I'm any of them, why would I stop if y'all just going to keep at, hey, sons, will y'all please let me get some shots in? Will y'all please stop trying to block my shots? Will y'all please just, let me get some, easy layups? If we don't expect that in sports, why would we expect that when we're talking about real life? Why would we, but that's why I say this is our best opportunity, because there's nothing tripping us up right now. There's nothing tripping us up right now. There's so much energy. I think I hate to keep prattling on. I said we was going to try to keep it to 30 minutes today. When I think about Tariq Nasheed, what he achieved in a month, generated $1 million. He was very specific, and I want to get this from the melanated family, to start a museum. We need a museum, document our history. It wasn't about the museum. It wasn't even about the money. It was a display of, hey, when we get on code, there are things that we can achieve. There's things that we need to achieve financially. Absolutely, 100%. This is a capitalist society. But there are also things we just need to achieve on a human level. Hey, bro, it took you time and effort to make these structures with these crates for you to do this challenge. Now, can you spend an hour or 2 of your day to help me structure this garden out here in the hood? Since we know that 70% of the people in this hood don't want to go get no Smurf berries. And you have to care. The same way the Bucks cared to win this championship, we have to care to win to get to the next generation, not just the next day. Because this 2030 agenda, this wasn't a thing, okay, we'll work on 2022, then 2023. No, these people think decades ahead. What does Nellie Fuller say? Everything you do should have a constructive outcome. Everything we think should, what is the best, most absolute greatest thing we can do right now? with my time, effort, and energy. When I'm around people, when I talk to people, are we going to be talking about something that's not going to lead to anything productive? Are going to be brainstorming? Hey, bro, I ain't never really grown a garden in my life. Hey, me neither. Well, how do we? Let me get online. So, there's X amount of content creators on YouTube and Google right now. Now, am I going to look at watching us look like fools, tumbling over, twerking? Or am I going to look at some of the brothers who's putting in work, who's showing us how to grow food, who's showing us how to prep, who's showing us what it looks like to put a garden together? That comes with choice. All the players on the Bucks chose to get good at their position, and they understood their roles. You're not going to have your center shooting three-pointers, and your center in a successful team ain't going to be trying to trip up the point guard or your forward, right? Everybody understands their role, and they listen to the coach. What is the coach? The coach is the code. What is the code? The code is we need to eat, and those who are in charge of our food system right now don't prioritize you Negroes eating. Simple as that. And if 70% of y'all ain't with the Smurf berries,
there it is, y'all. We need to get on code, and the code is we all need to eat. Like I said, they have the resources to feed us, to help us, not even feed us, to help us feed ourselves. To help build sustainable communities. It doesn't really take a lot of money. And again, another one of our mantras here at B1AG is many hands make light work. So even though it is a big task, if you have enough hands on the job becomes a lot easier. A lot easier. We're going to have to feed ourselves. We're going to have to feed ourselves. We can't depend on them to do it. Because if the government and these private agencies and these wealthy people were really concerned about things and our safety and our well-being, there are very simple, very practical things that they can do to ensure that, but we see that they are not doing it. So we must do it for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, that is a blessing because we do have the ability to do it ourselves. And it's really not a difficult or complex task. Grow your own food. We've been doing it since the beginning of time. We can't forget that survival skill. We just need to put it back into practice and go back to a simpler way of thinking and living in this digital world. Don't forget, even though everything is online and everything is through some kind of device, just like we're broadcasting through our screens and laptops and telephones, there still is a real tangible world outside of your door, outside of your window. There's real dirt and grass and air, at least it's for now. At least we still have it available now. So let's use it for what it was really put here to do. And that is to sustain life. These crate challenges and things like that, we watch people fall down. Let's stop looking at people fall down and use those crates and our abilities and our God-given talents to build our communities back up. So it's been a great topic. Again, y'all, the FDA, two of the top officials stepping down. They feel like they have no say-so in what's going on with these mandates and rollouts of the booster shots and policies that are affecting our daily life. So much so that they're willing to quit their jobs by, hey, don't blame me. Don't blame me. So that shows you how serious it is when someone's willing to quit their jobs as to even think about being blamed or pointed to as a reason for results that haven't even came down the pipeline yet, unless you know what's really going on, who's really in charge of the FDA. They're supposed to be our trusted overseers of our public health. Something to think about. Remember, nobody loves you like you. Here at B1AG, we love you too. Thank you for checking us out, looking at it. And thank you, Chris Mack. Thank you again. May that be sent back to you tenfold. Many blessings. And if you really want to know something, Farmer Brown, what do the people need to do?
If you really want to know something, let's learn how to grow something.
There it is, y'all. Let's stay in a growth mindset. Let's grow. Let's keep it growing. And, let's spread this word. Like, share, and subscribe to B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. Let's make sure that we have this discussion with our people, our family, our friends, our kids, our nephews, our cousins. Let's really have this real conversation every day about food. There's nothing more important in this world to us as humans, just as humans, than food, water, and air, So let's make sure that we have access to clean food, water, and air every day. Y'all take it easy. We'll come back at you again with another topic, keep this discussion going. And hopefully we're going to keep this, not only this platform growing, the knowledge of where our food comes from, what's going on with our food system, and where we as a people can take it and make it more equitable for us. Be blessed. Peace out.
Don't turn up too hard, bro.
Oh no. I'm it's hard to turn up when you're grounded, bro. I'm keeping my feet firmly grounded. Take it easy.
All right.